Thank you, Dr. Ade. Good evening to my colleague. Hope that you all have a good hydration so can get more concentration for this session and the next session. Thank you. This is a preliminary study of hydration status in Indonesian collegiate athlete and its relationship with cognitive function. This study is conducted by Grace Tumbeleka, myself, Dr. Angelika Anggunadi, Dr. Ade Tobing, Dr. Nani Cahyani, and Dr. Ermita Ilyas. And this is a collaboration study between Cluster Center of Sports and Exercise Studies, FKUI, and Indonesia Hydration Working Group, or IHWG. As we know, water is a very important nutrient in regulating hydration status and metabolism process. While researchers shown that in hydration status, the person who doing exercise of sports will affect their physical performance, will affect their recovery time, and will affect their safety during their exercise. Meanwhile, in the previous study also mentioned that in dehydration state will affect mostly of the physiological system in the body. Regarding of exercise and sports, it will decrease the cardiorespiratory endurance and also it will decrease the cognitive function. Researchers have an interest in research for a collegiate athlete. From the previous studies, in US and Africa shown that there's a low level of knowledge regarding hydration and fluid replacement in collegiate athletes before, during, and after exercise. And also in the previous study showed that collegiate athlete have already most of them already in dehydration condition before they exercise or before they have training or activity in sports. And as we know, if a person doing exercise, there's activity in muscular and it will increase body heat. Through the hormonal system, the body will produce sweat, and the sweat through the evaporation process will give a cooling effect to the body, so the body still maintain a good metabolism and didn't fall to heat illness. The question is how much water or how much fluid that produce if somebody exercise, and this is regard to the replacement of the fluid needed for the body. Through measurement of sweat rate, we can determine the amount of the water from the sweat, and that's why you can determine fluid replacement requirement for the exercise. And in Indonesia, there's no data about sweat rate, especially in collegiate athlete. From American College of Sport Medicine recommendation, the fluid replacement during exercise is 150 to 250 milliliter per hour every 15 to 20 minutes. This is equal 450 to 1,000 milliliter per hour. And how is the result from Indonesian collegiate athlete? The objective of this study is to assess hydration status, to assess sweat rate, as well as a relationship between hydration status with cognitive function in collegiate athletes, University of Indonesia on various sports. The methods of this study, 22 subjects, collegiate athlete, was obtained who met the inclusion and exclusion criteria was obtained the baseline data. Before their training session, they was collect the data of color chart of the urine, and then the urine specific gravity, and then they were examined for the vital sign, body weight, and body mass index. And the last, before they do their training session, they were measured their reaction time. And then the subjects do the training session, and they can drink ad libitum. So we, the researchers, not restrict the amount of the water, but they can drink ad libitum. And after training session, again, we measure their body weight and the color chart of the urine, and then the urine specific gravity, vital sign, and the last is the reaction time. And also we record the duration of the training session. As we see here, the color chart of urine, this is very small, but in the next slide, I will give you the bigger chart so we can see together. And the color chart urine specific gravity was measured by refractometer, and measurement of body weight before and after exercise. That three parameter is to determine their hydration status. And reaction time, we can see here, which is measured by a ruler. The athlete should catch the ruler, and we record the value of the centimeter in the ruler before and after training session. And this is to measure to determine their cognitive function. Okay. The result is, from the baseline data, most of the athletes were men, and the average age is 20.27 years old. And from the BMI, or body mass index, more than half of the population is normal, and the average body weight was 66.68 kilogram. From the 4 sports, which is table tennis, soccer, karate, and wushu, we record the duration involved in sports club from each athlete. Average is 26 for 14 months, with the minimum 12 months, which is 1 year, and the maximum 48 months or 4 years. This is part of the inclusion criteria, which the subject should involve a minimum of 12 months in this kind of sport, in their sport, their sports. Okay. From the hydration status, which determined from the change of body weight, this is the result, that more than the half population still in well hydrated. Okay, but as we know, this kind of method is the easiest way to determine how the hydration status for a person, especially in an exercise person, but we don't know the baseline hydration status of the person. So we just calculate the percent of body weight change through this formula. And the result can be seen here, which well hydrated is when the percent body weight change mean 1 to +1 and etc. From the urine color chart, the result can be seen here that most of the athlete fall into dehydration after exercise. And there's no one well hydrated after exercise. And then we can see here that more half of the population is worsening in color. So the color of the chart is darkened. From the urine-specific gravity, we also find that most of the athletes fall into dehydration after the session of the training, and there's no one well hydrated after the training. And we can see that most of the population get a worsening in urine-specific gravity. The cutoff point of the dehydration is more than 1.02. Okay. And how about sweat rate? Sweat rate, the formula of sweat rate is like I presented in this slide, that from pre-body weight minus post-body weight times 1,000, and then plus fluid intake as the water that they drink during the session of training, and then divide to the exercise duration. And the result is the sweat rate of the collegiate athlete, University of Indonesia, is about 700 milliliter per hour. If we compare the indoor exercise and outdoor exercise, there's a significant between the indoor and outdoor exercise about the sweat rate, which the outdoor exercise sports more higher sweat rate compared to the indoor exercise, because when the athlete do the session in indoor exercise, it is air conditioned, so more cooler than the outdoor environment. Okay, and from this study, when we compare the hydration status and the cognitive test using time reaction, we can see here that in well-hydrated athlete and in minimum, the reaction time less almost 1 centimeter, and in the minimum dehydration is plus 1 centimeter in reaction time, but the it's not significant. The P is 0.8. Okay. But when we compare the practice duration and the cognitive test, there's a significant correlation, which is the P which P is 0.025. That means that the longer duration of the training session, the worse result from the reaction time. The conclusion from this study is most of the population of collegiate athlete of the subject, about 86%, in dehydrated. So they have a bad hydration status before they do the practice or the training session. And worsening of the hydration status after the practice session is 100%. And from the sweat rate, it's about 700 milliliter per hour. And cognitive function have a significant relation with the practice duration. But from this study, there's no, it's not significant. The relation is not significant between the cognitive function and hydration status. From the conclusion, so the suggestion is, of course, we need a bigger sample study to get more data, more accurate data, and then and maybe the result will be changed if we add more sample. In fact, we are planning to add the sample, the subject until 80 subjects. And then should give an education about good hydration in practice. Especially, they have to know that, in fact, most of them were in dehydration status before the exercise. So they need more fluid to maintain their good hydration. And the drinking volume suggestion is about 700 milliliter per hour. Of course, they shouldn't take all 700 milliliter in one bout of drink, but they can divide it, the amount of the water in 1 hour until it minimum 700 milliliter, but it's not suggested over 1 liter or 1,000 liter per hour due to the kidney function during exercise. And seems that urine color chart is a good way to determine the hydration status. So it was recommended to put the urine color chart every application in the toilet of the sports facility. Okay. I think this is all of my presentation. The message is keep calm and stay hydrated for all of us. Thank you.